Welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, August 3rd, 2016. I'm Lafern Fraser with the details. International Press Institute, or IPI, is the third international organization to express concern over the cybercrime bill in this country. SVG-TV's Nolisha Miller has more in this report.
The International Press Institute's Director of Press Freedom, Scott Griffin, calls for the amendment of this country's pending cybercrime bill. In a publication issued today, Griffin urged this country's House of Assembly to amend the pending cybercrime bill and thereby provide stronger protection for freedom of expression and journalistic work in the public's interest. The publication stated that it appears that the SVG is following in the footsteps of other Caribbean legislators in their efforts to tackle data theft, child pornography, and cyber harassment, among other forms of wrongdoing online. However, the existing bill should undergo expert consultation given the vague language and the lack of serious defense for journalistic work in the attempt to regulate cyber harassment. Meantime, the IPI's publication further highlights Article 16 of the bill, which states persons who knowingly disseminate false information online that damages the reputation of another person or subjects another person to public ridicule, contempt, hatred, or embarrassment will be open to punishment of up to 5 years in prison or a fine of $200,000. The article also adheres to the offense of cyberbullying, which the bill defines as using a computer system to convey information that causes another person fear, intimidation, humiliation, distress, or other harm to health, emotional well-being, self-esteem, or reputation. Griffin pointed out that the IPI fears the existing language could be used to chill reporting, adding that while the institution identifies the need to respond to cyber harassment and cyberbullying, the bill in its present form opens a backdoor to silencing unwanted opinions or punishing journalistic work that makes people, especially politicians, uncomfortable. The IPI's Freedom of Press Director further urged the bill's Select Committee to insert a clause which provides a clear exception for information disseminated as part of journalistic, political, or artistic activity, or through the exercise of any other protected rights or interest, including freedom of expression and opinion. He further emphasized that the provision of disseminating false information amounts to a form of criminal defamation, an offense that already appears in Article 274 of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Criminal Code. So far, the 5 Caribbean countries who have fully or partially repealed criminal defamation laws since the IPI and its regional partner, the Association of Caribbean Media Workers, launched a campaign encouraging them to do so in 2012 at Grenada, Jamaica, Antigua and Barbuda, Trinidad and Tobago, and the Dominica Republic. Nolisha Miller, The Evening News.
Opposition leader Arnim Eustace remains adamant that Vincentians are not educated on the Cybercrime Bill 2016, and he fully agrees with DRP leader Anicia Batiste's position on the matter. Eustace, whose comments were made during a telephone interview today with SVG-TV News, stated the bill, which came into existence in 2013, should have been circulated to Vincentians long before now. The opposition leader explained that certain aspects of the bill tend to invade personal freedoms, and the bill is overreaching in an attempt to silence the public.
This is a democratic country. There's need for freedom of expression. It is true you will have guidelines that you may follow in various things, but they're just closing down people and causing fear. Up to as you know, you heard what happened to people who were stopped at the airport and so on. All these things are adding to people's concerns in the country about the present state of affairs. And now you come with a cybercrime bill, which is making it even more difficult to deal with your own freedoms, the freedoms you are guaranteed by the Constitution of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Meanwhile, Eustace says the NDP is planning a protest for Thursday, August 11th, while Parliament is sitting. He also noted that given that several aspects of the bill, which can be termed detrimental to personal freedoms, it was vital that the issue of the cybercrime bill be kept in the public's view.
The government has a majority in the House at the moment, subject to whatever outcome we have from the petitions that we have filed. So they have the ability to outvote you. Okay? I recognize that. And we are inviting people into town next Thursday to show their disgust at this piece of legislation.
So you are against this bill in its entirety?
There are several aspects of the bill that we are against. We cannot support at all because of the infringement on freedoms. And even some of those who are writing to us from overseas institutions.
What are the other aspects that you support? The other aspects of the bill?
We have some concerns about 3 or 4 particular aspects of the bill, right? And that has to do a lot with pornography. And it has section 16, which has to be dealt with, and a number of other sections.
The opposition leader made reference to a letter from the DRP leader, Anicia Batiste, which highlighted the failure of the government to properly sensitize the public on the bill, and added that he will do his part in educating Vincentians on all aspects of the bill during his weekly radio program.
You get to the point where people will be afraid to touch their computer. There are limitations as to how far you could go. No one is suggesting that you can't have a bill like that. It's how far it goes is the important thing. What you criminalize or don't criminalize. And there are a number of issues of concern to that. And people would not be so concerned. But the concern is growing as more and more people have the opportunity to read it. And now that you're getting comments from institutions outside of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
I will not be muzzled. This was the comment made by Anicia Batiste, leader of the Democratic Republican Party, on Nice Radio's Current Affairs program earlier this week. Batiste said that she had been selected to make an input at the meetings of the Select Committee, which in her view appeared to be dominated by the Prime Minister's family and persons too afraid to stand up for rights. But since her rights were not given by man, she would not be muzzled.
Nobody will intimidate me with accusations of dishonesty and calling my telling of Reporters Without Borders that the constitution of the Select Committee is influenced by partisan political people and family members demeaning. You call me demeaning for saying that? I don't care. Because the fact of the matter is this: I will not sit silent and partake of your evil. Rights and freedoms, including freedom of expression, comes from God, not from Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves, not from his son Camilo Gonsalves, not from his first cousin Julian Francis, not from his party executive heads, not from his hand-picked party people so-calledly representing NGOs, not from technocrats who are either too afraid to challenge him or support his wrongs and arrogance. I, Anicia Batiste, was born free. My rights are God-endowed, and nobody, I say nobody, muzzling me.
Batiste also voiced the concern that the proposed bill in its present form will pose serious problems if it becomes law, as it can criminalize even children.
I maintain that we should not criminalize cyberbullying. I try to show, look, in the Nova Scotia situation in Canada, their act dealt with cyberbullying alone. It was called the Cyber Safety Act of 2013, and it was dealing with cyberbullying alone of children. And I was saying, look, it had penalties that were civil. You could apply for court orders to protect a child who was being cyberbullied, and if you were guilty, you would have to pay fines, okay? It was generally a civil matter. I showed them before in previous meetings there were other jurisdictions that do not criminalize cyberbullying. And why shouldn't you criminalize cyberbullying in my view? Remember, you're dealing with words online, but this is not schoolyard bullying where a child constantly gets clouts and pushed down and goes home crying, where you physically assault. This is words. Why do we want to criminalize words, even words which hurt? We would be criminalizing potentially youth and children.
Batiste added that there are alternatives to criminalizing cyberbullying which would have a greater benefit to the youth.
There are programs. Let us focus on social intervention.
That's right.
Where we teach children and parents and teachers and so on about responsible use of the internet, how to avoid bullies online, how to just block, delete, overlook, be tolerant, turn the other cheek, so to speak. And be victim proof. I recommended, I said there's a man in America, he has a whole program, he goes to schools around the states. He calls this program Victim Proof. You can check it out online, those of you who are listening. His name is Tom Phelan, Thelen. And his idea is, let's teach the children using educational tools how to avoid being a victim of bullying, rather than focusing on this penalizing in terms of criminalizing of cyberbullying. And this is a better approach. It will help the children. We don't even have policies in schools with respect to cyberbullying and so on. Why are we going down this road when children could end up being criminalized?
The cybercrime bill is much more than cyberbullying and posts on Facebook. This was the comment made by Minister of Transport and Works, Julian Francis, as he responded to criticism leveled by the leader of the Democratic Republican Party, Anicia Batiste, on the proposed cybercrime bill on Star FM's radio program ULP Speaks. Minister Francis slammed Batiste for suggesting that the select committee, which was created to discuss issues surrounding the bill, was merely a family clique, as it downplays the important work and input of various legal and technical stakeholders.
It seems as if Saboto Caesar and Camilo Gonzalez should be taking a second place in the select committee meetings and to be formally on the select committee than Anicia Batiste. The government wasn't responsible for Anicia Batiste being thrown out of parliament. It was the opposition. They're the ones who discarded with her and pulled her senatorship for the same democracy that she's fighting for. So it becomes a family clique with all these other persons in there. Everybody else who is in there is a part of the family clique. Renee and the DPP and the lawyers and the Chamber of Industry and Commerce and NTRC and the technicians from them is a family clique. And with that, she carries her fight now on the matter of the cybercrime. Well, she only concentrates on a particular area. And as has happened with the Constitution, other important parts of the bill and the proposed bill just get thrown aside.
Francis also stated that in relation to the IMAD case that he was not being charged under the cybercrime bill, but under current legislation, and advised IMAD's lawyer to simply prepare his case.
And especially now because of the IMAD thing, you know, the stupid statement that was made last week by Israel Bruce, which I spent some time on and read from the papers, about there's a witch hunt, and you had 6 months since he posted the thing to have your thing ready. Well, he made himself available in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and the police did their work. What Bruce should be doing is making sure that he prepares himself to defend his client. Going to need a good lawyer. And it's not the cybercrime bill that he is being charged under. Cybercrime bill ain't passed yet.
Francis also added that the bill also covers other areas such as electronic fraud and will create protection for Vincentian credit card users.
I read you just now where 42 million, 24 million credit card holders were affected. We wouldn't realize what we are doing here until you find one day when you go by the bank tell you, well, the 5,000 limit you have on your credit card done. You max out. Only to realize that you only order $250 worth of clothes or shoes for $150. I have had an experience in London. Unfortunately, it was picked up early, and the credit card did what they had to do and credited back my account for it. But these are real things.
Yesterday, August 2nd, 2016, marks the official handing over of the baton of honor to this country's new Commissioner of Police, acting Reynold Hathaway. Now, former Commissioner Michael Charles, whose tenure as chief was from 2013 to 2016, handed over the reins of leadership of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force to Hathaway at a retirement ceremony held in Charles' honor at the police canteen in Kingstown. The event was attended by several dignitaries, including Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, the Minister of National Security, who commended Charles for his tenure and described him as a patriotic Vincentian. Acting Commissioner Hathaway, in his remarks, said Charles is being honored for 35 years, hard years of public service, and lauded Charles for establishing a good relationship with the public, thereby making the organization better. Acting Commissioner Hathaway undertook to continue the good relationship with the public, adding that on his very first day, he had accepted visits from some 35 persons who had come to congratulate him in his new capacity. Remarks were also made by His Lordship Justice Brian Cottle, Attorney General Judith Jones-Morgan, Director of Public Prosecutions Colin Williams, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security Godfred Pompey, Head of the Financial Intelligence Unit, the FIU, Carla James, and new Deputy Commissioner of Police Colin John. Hathaway's tenure to act as Commissioner of Police will run from August 1st, 2016. Continuing its contribution to the overall development of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the government of the Republic of China on Taiwan has awarded 16 Vincentian students with full scholarships as part of the 2016 Taiwan Scholarship Program. The scholarships, which are offered by the Republic of China on Taiwan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Taiwan ICTF, were handed over to the awardees yesterday at a presentation ceremony held at the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College Villa campus. We hear more in this report from SVG-TV's Nikita Tony.
Over the past 11 years, more than 110 Vincentian students have benefited from the Taiwan Scholarship Program. And for the year 2016, 16 Vincentians will leave for studies in one of this nation's closest allies. Republic of China on Taiwan Ambassador for SVG, His Excellency Bershun Ge, congratulated the 2016 scholarship recipients, noted that Vincentian students continue to maintain a high standard of educational success at numerous Taiwanese institutions.
The reason for my country to launch such a program for the students of our diplomatic allies is that we believe nurturing young talents to be well equipped with crucial skills and knowledge will benefit the development of the countries those students come from. I'm proud to share with you that in St. Vincent Grenadines, the scholarships we have offered have bear fruitful results. When you enjoy your stay in Taiwan, do make sure that you study very hard for your degree. We also expect you serve as your country's cultural ambassadors to Taiwan.
Minister of Education Honorable Sinclair Jimmy Prince thanked the Taiwanese government for their continued involvement in the enhancing of this country's overall development.
So we're very grateful that the Taiwanese is making this great injection into this particular process of the education revolution. And we hope that you're just as grateful as we are in the Ministry of Education, and that you become focused. You do what you have to do in Taiwan, and then you return to be part of the process of development here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Highlighting the need for the recipients to take full advantage of their new opportunity, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves outlined that they must keep in mind that their central obligation is to get their work done.
Thus far, they have contributed over 2 million EC dollars in over 20 million EC dollars in scholarships. You must reflect on it and let it sink into you and strengthen your commitment to work hard when you get there and to develop yourself as a professional and to help to build your own career and to assist your family.
The 2016 recipients will pursue studies in areas including trade, computer science, medicine, and international relations, while 11 of the 16 awardees will be taking the Mandarin Chinese program during their first year. Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
While speaking on Sunday's Hits Talk radio program, local activist and farmer Oscar Allen said that negative conditioning has contributed greatly to many Vincentians forgetting their history, and instead of looking down on our Vincentian history, we should praise it because it shows attributes of determination, culture, creative thinking, workmanship, and many other facets that we can apply to our lives today.
We've been taught that it was ugly, it was demeaning, it was shameful, and we should not go there. That's what we've been taught. So our ignorance, when we say don't go there, we are elevating ignorance to something that is to be praised and accepted. In our discussion, we have to demystify that ignorance about the past is not something to be accepted. And so I'm saying, when I say they invested to get freedom, we also today must invest mentally, materially, psychologically in what happened then to enrich us to see what we must do today.
And historian Dr. Adrian Fraser agrees that much of Vincentian history has either been ignored or forgotten, and the only way we can preserve our culture is by first appreciating it. Fraser said that Vincentians are tucking their culture away while gladly embracing the culture of other international nations.
You know, we speak about the role of culture in suppressing the people, but we are up against a global context which dictates to us what we could do and what we shouldn't do, and which in a sense control our language. So even the kind of what we wear and so on is coming from outside, and we are losing a sense of who we are. And, you know, which highlights the whole issue of culture, which we didn't pay a lot of attention to. But I think that in order for any people, they have to have an appreciation of their culture. And, I mean, things are going to change over the years, but you have to be able to hold on to certain core values. And the final thing is just to say that in any activity dealing with emancipation, our focus has to be on what we as a people have achieved over the years, that we have played a part in what we have achieved over the years. And we could only emancipate ourselves if we as a people continue.
2 Vincentians and a Jamaican have been remanded into custody after they were found with more than 400 pounds of marijuana during a drug operation by the Marine Unit in Dominica. According to the Dominica Police Public Relations, last weekend, Vincentian nationals Jeffrey Stapleton and Alwyn Lawrence and Jamaican Ralph James were detained off the coast of Scott's Head, which is southwest of the Nature Isle. The marijuana dealers were discovered after an open keel boat from Antigua was intercepted last weekend. 419 pounds of marijuana were seized, and the men have been jointly charged with possession and possession with intent to supply marijuana.